We're back on My Plug Life for the Christmas update, the 2020.48.25. This should be the last update of the year. Then we'll start the new year, new updates. But this update's a little different. This is going to include some stuff that's only available on certain cars. So we'll go over the generic ones that we got first. First of all, they changed the release notes, the way they show up, which is really good. It's a lot easier to scroll through and find out what each of them do. I like that, a lot less clutter. They added 3 new video games. That is the Battle of Polytopia, Cat Quest, and Solitaire. Check those out sometime. I'm not going to go into them much, but it looks pretty fun. I haven't had a chance myself, but I know I will at some point. They made some changes to the driver visualization. So if you've seen the Cybertruck videos or the full self-driving videos, you'll see that there's a smaller map on the right side and a larger visualization on the left side to show you a lot more stuff around you. So in order to make that happen, they had to move a lot of the icons around. So now the wipers in the back of the camera are moved to the bottom of the screen. That's fine. They added more space to the sides of the car, so they had to move the buttons as well from the top, like your speed and autopilot, over a little bit. They changed a lot of the icons onto the left-hand side, but it looks a lot better. It's a lot more clean, so I definitely like that. Now, because that map is smaller, it's going to maybe be slightly harder to see, and your media sits in that same area when you're playing music. So you're going to have to get used to how that works a little bit different. It's kind of hard to explain, but it is a little bit different. And if you do have one of those screens up and you can't see your map, how do you drive? How do you know which way to turn? So they made an improvement on that as well. So now if you're set a destination in and you have your media up or your backup camera, and I know some people do that, they like to see that instead, you'll now give you turn-to-turn directions just above your car. Now this is on the 3 and the Y because the S and X has a center console display, but the 3 and Y don't. That's pretty cool. Now at least I can use my navigation while I'm watching the guy tailgate me. So I like that. The other thing they added was scheduled departure. Now, typically up to this point, you'd have to be plugged in order to get your car to preheat. So that way at 8 o'clock when you leave for work, it's nice and warm. Now they changed it, so now you don't need to be plugged in to do that. It'll limit the ability to do this only if you're above 20% charge, so you're not going to run out of battery. But now you can just set the date, you can set the time and days that you work, and it'll fix itself automatically in order to heat up for you. Now, if you click on the schedule, you can set the time. You go into the settings, it allows you to schedule the days, so it could be during the week or every single day. And you can also change your charging and preconditioning in there as well. Because some people have charging at certain times of day is cheaper, so it'll only charge during that time. So depending on where you are, that might be really useful to you. Next thing they added, they changed the way superchargers appear on the map. This is a lot better to look at in my mind. Before they had these little bars that could tell you how many people are there. It was a little bit confusing. It didn't quite make a lot of sense on first view. So now they'll show you a bunch of different icons. So to show you the number of free stalls, so if it says 4 or 6, those are the number of ones that are available right now at that point. Now, if there is none, it's going to be gray with a little clock symbol on it. So yeah, you're going to have to wait a little bit. You can't plug in right away. They have a wrench if there's a reduced number there. So sometimes they're doing maintenance on a couple of stalls. So this just means you have less to work with. There's sort of like an X through it. It might not be available. So they're having problems communicating with those. So you might get there and they might not work. So best just to skip that one unless, you really want to take a chance. If there's no number on it, it's just a matter of they're not communicating, but they know it still works. So you might see that occasionally. And if you see just a black icon with a dot in the middle, those are your destinations or your third-party chargers. Those ones they can't get information on, of course, but it's still there so you can find them. And last but not least, Santa Mode is back. Now, up until this update, if you turned on Santa Mode, which is clicking the Bluetooth and saying ho ho ho, it'll bring up a visualization change, and in which case it would show the lines on the road and everything, but it would show the cars around you as reindeer, and it would show snow coming down, and your car would be a sleigh, kind of fun stuff like that. But lately it's gone away and hasn't worked properly. So the only thing that would work would be you'd see snow coming down, and if you turn on your blinkers, it would make a ringing noise, like a ching, ching, ching. Now, with this update though, they brought it back to the way it was. So now you can see your car as that sleigh again. You can see the other cars around you as reindeer. The lights on the reindeer actually light up when your blinker is going. So that's kind of a neat added feature. But I don't get that noise anymore. I guess if you had one of the other features that we're getting on this, you might. Also, the 3D rendering of the vehicle when you're stopped looks a lot different. So it changes that as well to the Santa mode, so you can see a 3D rendering of Santa driving a Tesla sleigh. So the other changes that we have here are if you had a Model 3 that was built after September 2019, or if you have a Model Y, they have this pedestrian warning device. That is, if you're moving slowly, you hear a wah, 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 wah noise. That is a speaker that's on the external part of your car. If you have that speaker, there's a few extra updates. You'll have something called Boombox. Now, you can now link in a different audio file to all those noises. So if you honk your horn, it's going to make a noise. That's not the horn noise. If you're moving slowly and you hear that weird noise, you can change it to something else. If you're using Summon, you can have a different noise as well. Now, these are all either pre-made, so they have a bunch of different options on a drop-down menu so that we can select whichever one you want, or you can actually upload them from a USB stick. Follow the instructions on this. You have to put it in a certain directory, etc., etc., etc. But I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of videos of people putting crazy things, because if you can upload anything you want, it can be anything you want. And in addition to this, because you have that speaker, they also decided to fix emissions testing mode in order to work externally as well. Now, emissions testing mode is when you click on the blinker, or if you click your scroll wheel, depending on how you set to, it'll make a fart noise. Having this inside would be a great thing to do with kids inside. It gets a bit of a laugh. But now the ability to have it work outside your car is hilarious. Can you imagine going through a parking lot and somebody turns on their blinker and you start hearing fart noises? I think that's fun. I'll see you guys in the next video, and have a good day on My Plug Life.